Hi everyone, I'm heidiroro and welcome back to my channel. I just got this in the mail and it's the Molly Cosmetics Silisponge, or better known as the Bobbi blender. So what's great about the Silisponge is, say for instance, you use 2 pumps of foundation with your regular sponge. With the Silisponge, you would only use half of the amount because it's not absorbing any of the foundation. It's just going to distribute all the foundation on your entire face and you won't lose a thing. Whereas this will soak up the foundation. So I want to do a little test between these 2 sponges. On the right side of my face, I'm going to be using the Silisponge or the Bobbi blender. And on the left side, I'm going to be using the Real Techniques sponge. So let's see who's going to win the battle of the sponges. I am going to be going in with my Lancome Teint Idole Ultra foundation, and I will be using just 1 pump. And per usual, I'll be dotting the foundation, but I'll use less. So I'll just use that amount, and I'm just getting the sponge and tapping it how I would any sponge, honestly. This feels really weird. Maybe I should slide it? Okay. So when you slide it, I feel like it can get kind of streaky. So I don't know how I feel about that. And it's kind of hard to reach like near your eyebrows, especially if you already have them done like I do. Maybe I can fold it. I guess when you fold it like this, it can blend a little bit easier, but I think tapping it is a better way to apply foundation. But it does feel weird tapping this on my face. I'm not used to it, and it's kind of hard to reach in my nose area. I guess I would just use the corners. I really don't like the sound. The sound is just like flap, 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 flap. In terms of coverage, you don't need much product to put on your face. So that is the right side. Now I'm gonna go in with the left side with my Real Techniques. Because this is my ride or die sponge, it's so easy to get in those spots that are harder to reach and just blend everything out. I think what's nice about a damp sponge like this, it doesn't even have to be this particular sponge, but just a damp sponge like this helps remove the excess product, and I personally like that because I don't like cake face. I think the Silisponge is nice because it doesn't use that much product, but in these harder to reach areas like the nose and the eyebrow area, it's hard to blend anything out. Whereas if you have like a pointed tip, you can get in right under your eye or even around the nose. So certain areas like that, I would much rather want a damp sponge, but in terms of product consumption, I definitely feel like the Silisponge is awesome too. So I can already see that on my right side, the coverage is a lot more full, whereas on the left side, it's more sheer. I personally don't mind either. It's really your preference. On a day-to-day, I would probably go for a more sheer look because I don't want anything to look too heavy or cakey, but in terms of like a long night and anything like that, I would want to go heavy. So I guess I would go with the Silisponge. But overall, I think it looks pretty good. Well, I'm just gonna go ahead and finish the rest of my face and tell you how I feel about it. So I'm gonna cream contour just because I want to see what this Bobbi blender can do. Basically, I'm going to be using all cream products to test this sponge out. What's nice about this product is that you can just wipe away anything that you had on it before. You have to change the sponge every 2 to 3 months for sanitary reasons, but the Silisponge, you wouldn't have to do that because you could just wipe it and it's good to go. Let's see how this does with contouring. I'm just gonna put it in half like a hot dog style and pounce it. It's actually blending pretty nice. Okay. Okay, I see. It's a lot more sheer, as you can see. You kind of can't even see it. Round 2. Maybe double the amount. Using the Real Techniques sponge, you could definitely see it's very light coverage, whereas with the Silisponge, you could see it a lot more. Depends on what type of look you're going for. We're gonna keep going with cream blush. Just give it a little bit. Just put it on the apples. Wiping the Silisponge with a mica white. I really feel like tapping with the Silisponge applies the makeup flawlessly. Blending it out. Real Techniques sponge. So the blush actually looks brighter on this side, but I think it might be because also the foundation is a lot more sheer. So the blush pops out a little bit more, maybe that's why. But in terms of cream blush, I think I like it better with the Real Techniques sponge better. And now I'm just gonna set everything. A good rule of thumb to have if you're going with liquids and creams, do all of that first and then set it with like a translucent powder, and then you can go over the areas that you bronzed or you contoured and put blush and highlighter and whatnot. If you use liquid or cream and then powder and then back to liquid and cream and then back to powder, you're gonna just create more of a cakiness to your face. So I set my face with Mercier translucent powder. I am just going to contour a little bit with my Lorac Pro Contour Kit on the areas that we cream contoured with. Some Wet n Wild Color Icon blush. And we're just gonna add a little bit of gloss to our lips. And I'm just using the Lancome Juicy Shaker in Piece of Cake. Now for the final thoughts. While comparing the two sides of my face, I feel like the Silisponge did a really good job in covering my freckles on my face and any of the hyperpigmentation that I had on this side. I definitely feel like the Silisponge wins in terms of coverage. I think in my nose area it's a little bit rough. So in these harder to reach areas like the nose and even the eyebrows, I feel like this is kind of tough to use, whereas the Real Techniques sponge or even the Beauty Blender is really easy to maneuver and kind of get in those hard to reach areas and take out any of the excess product that's there. I actually do like my right side of the face better because I feel like it really did cover with less product. There's nothing wrong on my left side, you know, so it's kind of like, what do you like better? Do you like a more full coverage type of look, or are you okay with natural looking makeup? You know, you're not afraid to show your freckles and some hyperpigmentation spots. I think for the most part, my face doesn't look too different using two different sponges. I mean, what's great about the Silisponge is that it's only, I think, $10 on the Molly Cosmetics site. So I mean, it's different, it's fun, and everyone's talking about it, so I say why not try it, see for yourself. At the end of the day, it's going to help save your products because you're not using as much, whereas this type of damp sponge will soak up more products. So I like both. I'm gonna keep testing this one out, but honestly, I'm gonna give the sponge a thumbs up. I would definitely recommend it. Even if it's for kicks and you just want to try it, I think it's a reasonable enough price to try and adventure. So in conclusion, my review on the Molly Cosmetics Silisponge or the Bobbi Blender is I really like it. I will definitely give it a thumbs up. You know, it got the problem areas. It did take a while getting used to blending in these harder to reach areas, but for the most part, it did a really good job. Like, I really like the right side of my face. It's not patchy or anything. I thought it was going to be patchy, but honestly, it blended really nicely, so I'm okay with it. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. And that's my review for the Molly Cosmetics Silisponge. I hope you guys try it out, and if you do, make sure you tag me. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!